Welcome to Today's Homeowner with Danny Lipford. Expert advice on improving your home from remodeling contractor Danny Lipford and the home improvement pros from Today's Homeowner magazine.
Well, I'm glad you're with us this week. We're right at the start of an addition we're building here on the rear of this home. Now, we would be pouring concrete today, but weatherman's not cooperating very much with all the rain we have. But now the addition is 13 by 17 and will serve as an extension of the existing den. Now, one of the things we're doing to really keep the budget in mind here is to take the existing windows and doors and reusing them out on the new wall. Also, we're doing some unique things with a nice vaulted ceiling, also an overhang here that'll serve as a walkway going out to the driveway and right on in the back door. We've got a lot of things to show you on this week's show, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the show. You know, the weather's cleared up enough over the last few days to allow us to pour all of our concrete foundation and get a good start on framing this addition. As I mentioned earlier, the addition is 13 by 17 and may not appear like it's very large, but it'll certainly appear large once we get our vaulted ceiling in and move all of the windows and doors that we're going to put in the addition in place. It'll really make it look a lot larger than it actually is. Now, a couple of things we're doing on the framing of the roof, which is always a challenge anytime you have valleys coming down into one particular area, is how to properly build the roof. We'll look at it in a little bit, but one of the things we're doing is we're going to extend the overhang all the way out to 36 inches. Having the overhang at 36 inches will give us a covered walkway from this doorway right on out to the driveway. Now, usually at this point, if we're going to find out any problems inside the framing, we generally will find them. We certainly have found one here. What's happened is over the years, apparently, where a flat roof section meets the shingles, has a problem there with the flashing. Water has contributed down into this area and caused a good bit of damage, not only to the decking, but to the support beam. Now, what we'll do is remove this entire beam and put a new beam into the wall going all the way over to the carport to support this, and we'll have to tear a lot of shingles out and replace all of that. But another thing that's happened as a result of this leak, of it dripping down, is dripped right on this wood expansion joint, and so it is also damaged to the point that we'll have to remove it and put a new treated expansion joint in between all of the washed aggregate here. They usually find things like that once you've opened up a project to this point. But our main focus is getting our roof on. We're actually bringing in a few extra carpenters to make sure by the end of the day we have our rafters on, our plywood down, and all of the felt in to get it good and watertight. Here you go, Lloyd. Before the new roof goes on, we must first remove the old roofing to a point just above where the new rafters will tie in to the existing roof. Now, the crew lines up the new rafters carefully before nailing them off to make sure no high or low spots will appear in the finished roof surface. Now, the plywood decking goes on next, and the joints here are staggered to give the roof more structural stability. Now, this is a fairly large roof for the size addition we're building, but the roof actually covers the 3-foot overhang we talked about earlier, as well as a little open area we have out by the driveway. And it also covers an area that we removed a gable section of the roof here, so all of that's under the new roof. Now, we chose to do it this way because we felt this was the only way to make this roof work the right way and look like it's part of the original house. But the tough part is right in here where we're tying the two valleys together. Now, originally the valley on the roof is a metal valley that came all the way down right in this direction. But with the new roof tying in to the existing roof, we're converting it to what we call a lazy valley, where it actually turns up at that point and continues on down. That way, the shingles here will overlap the shingles on the lower part or the new roof, so that when the rain's coming down, the water will actually push out onto the new roof, make it very easy to catch it with guttering all along the perimeter of the roof. Now, of course, they'll continue with putting in all of the rest of the plywood, and then they'll roll out their building felt paper. The roofing felt is the first layer of this roofing system, so it's important that it be done right. The rows are overlapped by about 6 inches and secured with plenty of nails. Now, Now, the carpenters pay careful attention to the valley areas where the flow of water will be most concentrated. If this felt isn't tucked under the old roofing well, it could mean leaks down the road. Now, while the guys finish drying this project in, let's take a look at this week's simple solution.
Get ready to review your fix-it list as Danny and today's Homeowner Magazine repair and maintenance editor Joe Truini show you this week's simple solution. Brought to you by Dodge.
You know, there's a lot of tricks out there in how to hang pictures. Joe has one for us today.
Well, in this case, Danny, we're going to use a wire hanger. Now, the first thing you need to do is mark the rough position on the wall on a strip of masking tape. And then what I did is I took a piece of wire hanger, snipped it to about 8 or 10 inches long, and bent the ends in opposite directions. Then you take the picture and hook the wire behind the picture itself. And then you hold it up to the wall, lining it up with your center line, and then just press in to leave an impression on the wall where you need to drive in the nail. Now, the mistake a lot of homeowners make is they drive the nail straight in, but you're almost never going to hit a stud. It's just a drywall holding it. So the trick is to drive the nail at a really steep angle and have much greater holding power.
Now, that might be okay for a real light picture, but if you're hanging a mirror, you need something else like a wall anchor.
You're right, Danny. And there are lots of different hollow wall anchors out there, and here's one that I recommend using for this case. It's simply a spiral anchor, which has really deep threads. And the way you install it is first you make a hole. You could drill a hole, but it's just as easy to mark it with a screwdriver. Just punch it right through. And then you take the anchor and thread it right in. And because it has those really deep threads, it holds really strong. You'd be surprised how much power this has, holding power. And then you just put a screw in the anchor and hang the picture on the screw head. Now, this one actually came with a special little picture hanging hook, which makes it even easier. You just take this, thread it right into the hanger. It takes a little pressure to drive that right in because it's just going right through the anchor itself.
And that kind of makes it expand a little bit and hold pretty well.
Yeah,
Huh?
and then just hang the picture right on there.
Okay. Looks like it works good to me. I just love building additions onto brick homes, particularly if they have the old solid brick like we're working with here. They're real easy to remove during the demolition stage, and when we removed the original back wall, we saved as many as we could, cleaned all of them up, and then the brick masons did a great job in tying in our corner. And once this mortar gets a little bit of age on it, it'll bleach out just like the mortar we have on the original house. Now, also, the brick masons were careful to use the same techniques the original brick masons did in the exact same mortar thickness as well as the rake joint that kind of defines and exposes a little bit of the face of the brick. Now, the outside's basically complete with all of the brickwork complete, all of our windows in place. Painters have finished up all of their coats of paint, and our shingle men have been out to install all of the roofing shingles, including tying in the lazy valley we looked at earlier. Now, before our ceramic tile setters are out on the job, let's check out the inside. Now, there has really been a lot of activity taking place here over the last couple weeks. Now, before all of the drywall was installed on the walls or the ceilings, the electricians were out, installed all of our lighting, our wiring for our fans, switches, outlets, all of that was complete. Then all of the insulation went in, both in the ceilings and the walls. Our heating and cooling contractor was out, provided us heating and cooling for this room through 2 supply lines that tie back in the existing attic into the existing central heating and cooling system. Now, the homeowners were concerned about natural light, so we installed 2 skylights that are glass skylights and positioned in such a way that they'll really flood the whole area with plenty of natural light. And our trim carpenter's in the process of taking care of all of the hinges and doorknobs on all of the interior doors. Now, when you talk about interior doors, there's a lot of options out there. We went with glass doors here so that any natural light in this room can be shared by the adjacent room. Behind me looks like a wood door. It's actually a hardboard door. We thought it'd be a great idea to go to a door showroom and show you some of the choices you have out there for your house. Now, here's just a few of the many styles of interior doors that are available. Now, this is a solid wood door, 4-panel style, also available in a 6-panel styling, but I like this one better because the 4-panel really makes the door appear a little bit taller than it actually is. Now, one of the problems that we hear about with wood doors many times on interior is the shrinkage that can occur from expansion and contraction on the interior. Here's a good example of it here where the panels actually shrunk a little bit and expose some of the raw wood behind it. So you need to consider that. This is a pine or fir door. It's also available in mahogany. You'll spend about $130 for this door in your home. Now, this door used to be very popular, full louvered, and people liked it because it would allow air to circulate in and out of the closet or a room. But they also found that dust would settle on all of the louvers, made it very hard to keep it dust free. You'll spend about $110 on a full louvered style like this one. Now this, the glass door, is the same type of door we're using out on our addition project in between the existing house and the addition. That's just clear glass, has wood framing around it. This one will cost you about the same as the wood door, about $130. Now we're also using this type of door out on the project, a hardboard door. Now this one is stained, which is not an easy thing to do, because with a hardboard door, the stain will not penetrate into the wood like it will on a standard door. So you have to use a special gel coat stain. It's a little harder to use. Whoever did this one did a great job. Now this door is very reasonable. It's only about $35. And this particular one is a 4-panel style. It's also available in the 6-panel style and a multitude of other styles that get a little fancier than just the traditional 4 or 6 panel. As I said, it's only about $35. It's much easier to paint than it is to stain. Here, another version of a glass interior door. It's a 15 light door, also available with a style that runs down the middle and creates a 10 light door. Now this one's going to be a little more expensive, about $160, and you can see that it certainly accepts the stain very well. Well, now these are just a few of the many different styles of doors that are available for your interior.
It's time to check out this week's best new product with Danny and today's Homeowner Magazine Editor-in-Chief, Paul Spring. Brought to you by the Home Depot.
So Danny, you know how to set your VCR?
Well, kinda.
Yeah, that's what I thought. You share that with millions of Americans. Also, the folks who have electronic water timers, they are hard as heck to set, and we've got a solution to that. This is the Melnor electronic water timer, and the first thing it has that everybody could use is instructions right on the timer. Now this goes right on your hose bib, and whatever watering device you have goes on the other end, but it's this electronic part, which is run by a 9-volt battery, that makes it all operate.
Okay, how simple is it to set it?
Okay, first of all, it prompts you with lights, and it's all color-coded. So right now it asks me to set the time. So I'm going to set what time it is. Okay. And then it prompts me to set the frequency. That's how often I want it done, and the duration. How long do I want the water on? This will allow me to do 3 cycles every day on a 1-day, 2-day, 3-day, 5 or 7-day program.
Okay, so you could use this really on any type of sprinkler, maybe even a soaker hose through your landscape beds.
Exactly, and that's not usual for all of these. It'll run a soaker hose, it'll run anything you can basically hook into here. Has a diaphragm valve that stops the water nice and slowly instead of that water hammer shake that you often get, and it's $28.
Not bad at all. Communication between a homeowner and contractor is very important in any remodeling project. And we had several discussions with the homeowners throughout this project about different aspects of it. Now, one we talked about earlier is the selection of the doors between the old and new area. Now, they wanted to maintain a visual exchange between the new area and the old area, so the glass doors work perfect for that. Also, they didn't want to disturb any of the existing wood paneling in the room, so by using the wood doors and staining them to match the existing wood, it worked perfect. Looks like the original construction. Now, a few other things you need to consider if you're building onto your home: the electrical service. Make sure your existing electrical service is sufficient to handle the extra load. Here, we had no problems at all on that, but the heating and cooling system was a little bit different. Because of adding this additional space, the existing system would not have been sufficient had we not added extra insulation in the attic. That worked perfect to reduce the load on the existing heating and cooling system so that the extra square footage wouldn't be a problem. Also, a lot of people just assume that because you have flat ceilings throughout the home, you'll have to settle for a flat ceiling in your addition. But ask your contractor, because many times you can create a vaulted ceiling just like we have here, which will really make the room appear a little bit larger than it actually is. Now also, many times when we're taking care of a project like this for homeowners, they usually break out the little repair list of other areas of the home. And we took care of that repair list for these homeowners on the outside. Now, one item on that repair list was the repair of the water damage we looked at earlier that was right up above me here. Now, the beam has been replaced. All of the trim work, freeze board, soffit, fascia, all have been replaced. And while the roofer was out taking care of re-roofing the addition, he also took care of the source of the problem, where a piece of flashing was cut a little short in the original roof and caused the leak over the years that caused the damage. Now, another thing the roofer did while he was out, which I thought was great, is he came armed with a can of spray paint, the same color as the shingles, and when he put in all of the new roof vents, he spray painted them the same color as the shingles, so really has a nice look there. Another item on the repair list is the replacement of all of the water damage expansion joints. Originally, they had used cedar 2x4s, and they really didn't last very long, so we came back with treated 2x4s, and these should take care of this for a long time, and they look kind of nice out here on the existing patio. Now, in front of the house, the homeowner had quite a bit of water damage on his handrails and wood shutters. Now, we've replaced all of the damaged handrails, and we replaced the wood shutters with solid vinyl shutters, so they shouldn't have any problems with that for a long time as well. So if you're planning a remodeling project around your home, make sure you put that repair list together and provide it to the contractor early. That way he can plug it in his construction schedule, and when the carpenters are out taking care of the main work, they can also take care of your repair work. Also, the painters, when they're out taking care of the majority of the work, they can also touch up anything the carpenters have repaired. Now, not only will this be more economical for you, but you're not having to worry about making all those phone calls to all the different trades, because anybody that's ever done that knows what a challenge that can be. Now, stay with us. Next, Around the Yard.
Now let's go outside for Around the Yard with Danny and lawn and garden expert Barbara Katz. Brought to you by Scott's Lawn Products, for a great lawn guaranteed.
Well, Barbara, I've rented a rototiller. I'm ready to go to work.
Are you ready for an incredible workout?
Well, now, they told me it would be very easy to use this one.
This one?
Yes.
Oh, this is an incredible workhorse, but it does a fantastic job. I mean, why did you pick this one as opposed to some of the others that are there?
Well, I see the landscape contractors using this one all the time, and it was the largest one they had, but I was confused a little bit when I got out there, because I noticed some of the tines are right in the front of the tires and a few other different models, but I chose this one because of just being familiar with it since the landscape contractors use it.
You know, the other ones where the tines are in front are a little smaller, and they're actually a little bit easier to use, but they just don't do such a great job unless your soil's already been tilled. Otherwise, a machine like that, on the kind of soil that he has, is just going to bounce across the surface and do nothing for you. Now this one, because it's got these amazing wheels and it's got so much power in there, it just hauls those tines through the soil. It really does a fantastic job.
Now, what about the cost? I paid $80 a day to rent it. That seemed pretty reasonable, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great what you can accomplish for that. A landscape company would probably charge you between $30 to $50 an hour to do that. Plus, there'll be some extra charges for the equipment, I think. But you wouldn't have any back pain.
Now, since you dropped by today, though, I've got a little help here.
No, I don't think so.
Well, when it's late in the day and the project's all complete is when it's really gratifying to be a remodeling contractor, especially when the homeowners are as happy as these folks. Now, you know, communication is really the key, as I mentioned earlier, to be able to communicate your ideas with your contractor, and you need to choose your contractor very carefully. You can do that by checking references with business associates, friends, family that have had remodeling projects completed recently, and go and take a look at the projects to make sure they meet your expectations. Also consider talking with your local chapter of the National Association of Home Builders. They certainly can recommend a good qualified contractor for your project. Also consider using an architect or an architectural designer to put together a set of plans so that you and the contractor can see exactly what everybody's expecting the project to end up being. I'm Danny Lipford. I hope we see you next week here on Today's Homeowner.